Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. The RBA has just confirmed the worst fears of Australians. Interest rates have risen by 0.25%, meaning the mortgage repayments of millions of Australians will rise. Will he now take responsibility for the rate rise today?
Many Australians are doing it tough. It's not enough to just express grievance. What you have to do is come up with solutions, and that is what we have done. The tax cuts that were opposed by those opposite, including the one that will come in July this year and the one next year, the 15% wage increases for aged care and childcare workers that those opposite describe as waste, helping people to earn more and keep more of what they earn. We cut student debt by 20%. They said that was waste as well, making an enormous difference to 3 million Australians, making them $5,500 better off. The over 70,000 student, nurses, midwives, social workers and teachers that now actually get paid prac during their placements. The 725,000 Australians that have benefited from free TAFE. The cheaper medicines, over 200,000 cheaper home batteries that are cutting electricity bills of households. These are the measures of what a responsible government does to actually make a difference.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, my question is to the Treasurer. Can the Treasurer update the House on the interest rates decision taken this afternoon by the Reserve Bank?
Call to the Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and thank you the member for Adelaide for his question. Today, as expected, the Independent Reserve Bank has increased the cash rate by 25 basis points. Now, this will be difficult news for millions of Australians with a mortgage, and we understand the pressure that this puts on Australian families and businesses. Now, while today's decision was widely expected, obviously that doesn't make it any easier. We know that many Australians are doing it tough, which is why we continue to roll out responsible cost of living relief, including a further tax cut this year and another one next year, both of them opposed by those opposite. That the statement released by the Independent Reserve Bank explaining the decision that they have taken today does not mention government spending at all. It doesn't mention government spending at all, Mr Speaker. In fact, it makes it very clear that the pressure on inflation is coming from private demand.
In 2022, the now Treasurer declared, I quote, "There are things that real leaders take responsibility for, which matter in the context of high inflation, rising interest rates, plummeting consumer confidence and falling real wages," end quote. The Treasurer is right now failing on all these same metrics, and Australians are getting poorer by the day. Treasurer, when will you start living by your own words and take responsibility?
Call to the Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. As I've said on a number of occasions today and before that as well, I take responsibility for all aspects of my job. I take responsibility for my part and our part in the fight against inflation. I take responsibility for the fact that this government is rolling out cost of living help that those opposite opposed. I take responsibility for the fact that the budget is much, much stronger now because of our efforts, our collective efforts, than what we inherited from those opposite, Mr Speaker. I take responsibility for all aspects of my job, but more than that, we are taking action. We are taking action with cheaper medicines, with more bulk billing, with student debt relief, with free TAFE, with 2 more tax cuts opposed by those opposite after the first one also opposed by those opposite, Mr Speaker. And so I've made that clear. Take responsibility for all aspects of my job, including my part of the fight against inflation. Mr Speaker, there are real challenges in our economy. We are focused on them. They're just focused on themselves.
My question is to the Treasurer. Treasurer, after today's interest rate hike,
well, Mr Speaker, I thank the leader of one of the 3 far-right parties in this country for his question. And I can't hear you back there. I can't hear you back there.
Order.
I can't hear you back there.
Order.
I can't hear you back there.
Members on my left, there is far too much noise. I can't hear what the Treasurer is saying. The member for Lyne, the member for Lyne is not helping the situation. Treasurer will return to the question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and thank you to the member for his question. As I made clear a moment ago, we know that even though today's decision was expected, it doesn't make it any easier for people who are already under pressure. I think I've made that really clear. We do know, and we have said repeatedly through the course of today and before now, that we know that Australians are still under pressure despite all of the progress that we've made together in our economy. We know that Australians are still under pressure. That's why our cost of living relief is so important, and that's why it's so strange that those opposite oppose that cost of living relief. This side of the House is focused on the cost of living challenge. That side of the House is focused on who sits where from one week to the next. We won't be distracted by opposition parties which are divided, divisive and in disarray.
To the Deputy Leader of the Nationals.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm assuming you can hear me. My question is to the Treasurer. AMP Chief Economist Shane Oliver and many other economists have warned that record government spending is adding to inflationary pressures and keeping prices higher for longer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To deal with those parts of the question in reverse order, the inflation was running much higher when he was in government than under us, but the substantive part of the question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question goes to the Treasurer. Scores of economists have linked higher inflation and interest rates to this government's spending spree.
Let me read you 3 examples of economists who have pointed out, as has the Reserve Bank today, that the pressure on the economy, the upward revision, is because of faster than expected private demand at the same time as public demand is taking a back seat, actually retreating.
Will you now finally take responsibility?
Call to the Treasurer.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. One of the problems with them not talking to each other over there is that his mate over there just asked the same question. Essentially the same question, Mr Speaker. And so
the Deputy
at
Leader
least when they used to talk to each other, they could work out who asks what, Mr Speaker, instead of wasting 2 questions on the same one. But anyway, Mr Speaker.
Which capacity did he have?
Order. The Treasurer reports that the member for Lindsay and the member for Fairfax have had good goes, so we're just going to cool it. We're going to hear from the Treasurer.
Thank you. I thank the Shadow Treasurer, Mr Speaker, who is also now, I'm told, the Shadow Assistant Treasurer. They found the only bloke over there who could work with him, Mr Speaker, and they're still not convinced there won't be leaking of private conversations. Now, Mr Speaker, as I said a moment ago to his colleague, there are a number of economists who have pointed out, as have the Reserve Bank today in coming to their decision, that the uptick in inflation, the pressure on the outlook, is coming from private demand. Of all of the people that I would take a lecture from on responsible economic management, not one of the 3 far-right parties over there would be on the list.